We just found out Mark Carney's condo bailout scandal is exploding right now, with details that Brookfield has investments in the lower mainland's real estate market. Is Mark Carney bailing out his own investments? Every single 24-hour period, Mark Carney gets caught lying. Today is no different. He's a habitual liar. It's getting out of control. Will Canadians wake up before it's too late? Let's get into this report. We're going to start today's episode off with Mark Carney is 10 times worse than Justin Trudeau. I know that's hard to believe. The number of active businesses continues to decline in Canada. There's been no net growth in new businesses in well over a year. Since December, Canada has lost 2,848 businesses. So since Mark Carney was elected, Canada has lost 3,279 businesses. The big news today is Pierre Poilievre and the Conservatives have issued a letter to the Ethics Commissioner about this condo bailout.
Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre is calling for an urgent meeting of the House of Commons Ethics Committee to look into what he's calling a condo bailout announced by the government earlier this month. In a letter to the committee chair obtained by CTV News, Poilievre accuses Prime Minister Mark Carney and his government of bailing out developers instead of helping taxpayers. It follows a June 18th announcement by the Prime Minister that Ottawa and the BC government plan to use innovative financing tools to convert more than 2,200 vacant condo units into priority areas into affordable housing. A move Poilievre says would preserve high prices for developers rather than bring costs down for buyers.
Now, Mark Carney's condo bailout is backfiring. How bad is this for Mark Carney? I have the receipts, and the absolute best part, it comes directly from Mark Carney's mouth. Here is Mark Carney last year claiming that he only owns cash and real estate. Personal real estate. I'm sure he wishes he never said this.
I own nothing now. I came into public life at a time of crisis. I put my hand up because of the crisis, because of what's represented by that bridge, what's represented by the threats to these good men and women of Unifor and their colleagues across southwestern Ontario and across Canada. I came in. What I've done is put all my affairs in order, well in advance. I own nothing but cash and personal real estate. So, and that's not going to change. In public life, that's not going to change. It's actually quite straightforward.
So then, just to be clear, then, going forward, you have no potential equity stake, no potential stock options, or any other potential future payments that you currently anticipate could come from either Strike or Brookfield.
So what I have is cash, personal real estate, and their assets all those assets were divested into a blind trust, which is managed by a trustee. And it literally means exactly what it says. I don't know what's in it.
Well, the common misconception is it's all in a blind trust. I have no idea what's in there. That's what he says. He just really doesn't know. Well, I guess that is technically true. He knew what the assets were going into the blind trust, and you're able to set instructions for the trustee. You're telling me you have no idea what real estate you are invested in? Surprise, surprise, a brand new BlackRock's report says that the Prime Minister faces common ethics hearing on whether he'll profit from the BC condo bailout. Mark Carney told reporters he didn't know if trustees managing his stock portfolio speculated in Metro Vancouver's realty. Mark Carney actually claims that, of course, he has no idea what assets are in his blind trust. He says, I actually don't know whether or not I'm actually in a conflict This is unbelievably false. Like I said, this guy lies so much. It's a 24-hour repeat loop of lies. He knows exactly what's inside his stock holdings and his Brookfield transition funds.
Hi, Prime Minister. Mark Ramsey with the Toronto Star. There's a growing list of deliberations and government decisions that you're excluded from because of your various conflict of interest screens. Are you concerned that you have to outsource major decisions of your own government, including potentially one on this project?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure the last bit of your question follows, so I'm just going to say no. I'm going to say no to the whole thing, but more specifically, your logic doesn't hold. So, with respect to this project, number one. Number two, we have a very strong team. We have several things in this government. One is robust conflicts of interest and ethics screens, which we follow, and I follow, and I respect that process fully. Secondly, we have a very strong team in cabinet who make decisions, and that process is followed, and I have every confidence in their ability to make those decisions. And, you know, I think, to be clear, what happens with conflicts is that it's quite often the avoidance of perception of conflict as opposed to actual, because, of course, my assets are in a blind trust. I actually don't know whether or not I have an actual conflict. Thank you.
What a flat out liar. Sam Cooper just came out with this today. The full trust in his MPs to make the right decisions. EB briefed for meeting with Vancouver condo king as Rennie raised money for Carney 4 months before the multi-billion-dollar condo bailout. The analysis, BC records show David Eby was briefed for a meeting with Bob Rennie in the same month Rennie hosted a fundraiser for Mark Carney, an event now cited in Poilievre's call for a bailout probe. This is unbelievable. Here's the receipts. David Eby right here. Let's just read a little bit of this. Vancouver's BC Housing Records for March 2026 says David Eby was briefed for a meeting with Vancouver condo marketer Bob Rennie, the industry leader who hosted in February of 2026. This is this year, guys. A fundraiser for Mark Carney, attended by 17 leading developers, that now has been cited in conservative Pierre Poilievre's call for an ethics investigation into the controversial multi-billion-dollar developer bailout that was announced 4 months after Eby's planned meeting with Rennie was documented. There was 146 attendees who paid upwards of $1,775 each amongst the 17 of the province's leading developers and condo marketers. So basically, they all gave Mark Carney money. They all sat in a room with David Eby and MPs, and Mark Carney now claims that there's no conflict whatsoever, and he trusts his MPs to make the right decision. Do you see how all of this collusion is going on? Mark Carney's got a big problem. A new report just came out today. But first, what did Mark Carney say about his Liberal ministers?
Secondly, we have a very strong team in cabinet who make decisions, and that process is followed, and I have every confidence in their ability to make those decisions. And
that's quite interesting, Mark Carney, because I don't know if you know, but this report just came out today, which exposes that your ministers that you have full confidence in are also highly conflicted.
I, Lena Metlish-Diab.
The immigration minister owns 14 rental units in Halifax.
What you need is scale today.
The finance minister has a couple of rental properties in London, England.
We've had to become more efficient.
And the Secretary of State for International Development has 6 rental units in Burnaby and Surrey, BC. Prime Minister Mark Carney's cabinet, in fact, is full of landlords. 38% of cabinet ministers report rental income or investment properties in their public disclosures filed with the Conflict of Interest and Ethics Commissioner. And there are even more landlords in the House of Commons, where at least 103 MPs or their spouses have listed rental properties among their assets.
I do find that those statistics are very helpful in calling attention to the power and politics of housing.
Housing advocates say those numbers are evidence of a bias in Canada's national legislature.
It shows that there is a bit of an institutional bias to keep the housing system working exactly as it is right now, because it is the most profitable business in Canada. Unfortunately, for the rest of us, the tenants, the people who are trying to access homeownership, and most acutely for those living in homelessness or housing precarity.
During parliamentary committee hearings on the government's signature housing bill, C-20, several advocates argued for changes that would help renters and tenants, things like a tenant's bill of rights, vacancy controls, and the right to security of tenure.
Rental assistance must be a core pillar of national housing policy.
Not a single requested change was made.
It's hugely disappointing, of course.
There are no renters in Carney's cabinet. Every single one of them is a homeowner. And yet, about 1/3 of all Canadians live in households where they are tenants, paying the rent every month to a landlord.
Politicians themselves are homeowners or landlords, and the interests of the tenants are not represented directly.
The Trudeau government did introduce a tenants' bill of rights in Budget 2024, but could not get provinces to agree to it, and so it died. Now, sources tell Global News that Housing Minister Gregor Robertson is working on its successor to be unveiled perhaps this fall.
38% of Mark Carney's cabinet are landlords. All of them own personal real estate. Do you think they want prices to go down and the market to correct? Or would they like to see prices of their assets go up? It gets way worse for David Eby, which is now in China, so he can't defend any of this stuff, and Mark Carney. Backlash is growing on the now Housing Minister Christine Boyle is being left to defend policies that raises a lot more questions than answers. On her CBC interview here, she repeatedly insists that this is not a developer bailout. Yet she could not explain what taxpayers will pay for these condo units, whether developers will have to accept losses, what the total cost will be, or how this plan will actually restore home ownership for the middle-class families. This is not even the worst. I have more about Christine Boyle.
We've got more than 4,300 completed condos sitting empty in Metro Vancouver today. So you're targeting 2,200 condos in this area. Can you tell us which properties we're talking about?
We're working on all of those details, looking at where there are empty condos.
Are you expecting to buy them then at less than the developer was expecting?
Yes, that is the plan. We're not bailing out developers. We're looking at building a good, affordable pathway.
Again, when we talk about affordability and the ability to buy let's say a one-bedroom condo, maybe a two-bedroom condo, I mean, you tell me about the size, but who exactly is this going to benefit?
These are the details that we are working on. There are a lot of places sitting empty.
Okay, so there's no plan here for the government to become landlords and perhaps rent out some of these units at an affordable rate.
We're still working on all of the details, like I said, and I can't wait to be able to talk about how this will work in more detail.
I know, but the question here is, why does the government need to be involved here? I mean, why not let the market correct itself and let developers lower the prices if the units are unsold, rather than selling them to government for a reduced price, sell them directly to a buyer?
You're really not going to believe this. Here we have Christine Boyle saying that developers are asking for handouts. I think that's absolutely ludicrous, quite frankly. This is her in 2021 as a Vancouver City Councillor. Fast forward to today, she is championing the $1.45 billion bailout for Vancouver developers who just can't sell those condos. Now we know Mark Carney claims he just doesn't know if his real estate portfolio was involved in Vancouver speculation, and his very own ministers, 38% of them, are landlords, and they all own personal real estate. And of course, they don't want the real estate market to correct because that would affect their bottom line.
I don't believe it. I think it is ludicrous. Quite frankly, I think it's infuriating. There have been too many delays, too many excuses. Enough is enough. And land has been largely empty. Holborn has seen a huge increase in property value while doing almost nothing. And now they're asking for handouts. This is a multinational company with billions of dollars in assets, and they're coming to us saying that they can't finance the condos they plan to build and want to get off the hook on building the social housing as quickly. I don't believe it. I think it is ludicrous. Quite frankly, I think it's infuriating. There have been too many delays, too many excuses. Enough is enough. And land has been largely...
Who is Christine Boyle? I think this clip that she herself provided us Canadians gives a very fair and accurate representation of who she is and her moral compass.
Hi, I'm Christine Boyle, Minister for Housing and Municipal Affairs and the MLA for Vancouver Little Mountain. And we need to talk about what happened in the last 2 weeks in the Legislative Assembly. MLAs who were all elected with the BC Conservatives and are now one BC and Independents have been using their time this legislative session writing and introducing the following bills: to repeal the Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples Act, to ban land acknowledgements, to cancel the National Day for Truth and Reconciliation, to create a new public holiday for the Freedom Convoy, and to prohibit diversity, equity, and inclusion at post-secondary institutions. And they got the support of the BC Conservatives on almost all of these bills. Together, we need to call this out for what it is: fear-mongering, anti-Indigenous racism, erasing history, and a waste of time on Trump-style politics that target, blame, and punish, instead of focusing on the real issues that actually impact people. That's what our government is doing. This session, we've brought forward 15 bills, which will become laws that bring down the rising cost of living, improve access to healthcare, build more affordable housing everywhere in the province. And we're doing this while working together, not giving in to division that's being manufactured by other politicians. We're working for you. That's a wrap on week 4 and 5.
You see how these lefties always say patriotism? You actually care about your fellow Canadian? You actually want to see division end Trump-style politics? The only politicians that are creating division are people like this. Back to Mark Carney's conflicts of interest. I'm sure he doesn't know anything about this. Brookfield was planning a rental tower in previous condo site. Brookfield Properties has submitted a rezoning and permitting application in the city of New Westminster for a high-rise rental development at 810 Angus Street in downtown area. Brookfield's new proposal for a 33-story market rental building with 352 market rental units. I believe this building is actually completed as of this year. So do you think that Mark Carney wants to see a correction in the real estate market in the Lower Mainland? If there's a real estate correction, it would also affect the rental market. Here's Brookfield's very own website, and it has the 810 Angus property on their website. That's it for today's report. Mark Carney's biggest scandal since becoming prime minister is this condo bailout. The more time that passes, the more information that's coming out. This thing is just starting to cook. Will Mark Carney be able to survive the summer? It just got started, and we are not going to let him get away with this one. The USMCA expiry is just in a couple of days. Is Mark Carney in Washington, D.C., getting us this amazing trade deal? Keep an eye out for my next report. It's going to be a doozy. I will see you on the next report.